Hi, I'm Eliot from Magoosh, and in this video, we're going to be thinking about IELTS Writing Task 1 for the academic test, things you should avoid doing. Okay, so mistakes that people make that end up pulling down their score. So let's take a look at each one of these. All right, so the first thing is that some students believe that they should provide an opinion or provide their perspective on the topic for IELTS Writing Task 1. That's actually something you should avoid doing. IELTS Writing Task 1 for the academic test is a report. It's supposed to be objective, right? So you're just looking at the visuals, you're looking at the charts and the graphs, and you're reporting what you see. So you should not say things like, I believe that, or in my opinion, or it appears to me that. All those things are personal opinions, perspectives that you're bringing to the data that you see. You're simply supposed to report what you see in the charts and graphs. You're supposed to pull out the most important information and report on that for IELTS Writing Task 1. Okay, so mistake number one, avoid presenting your opinion on the topic, your perspective on the topic. That will actually pull down your score. All right, another mistake people make on IELTS Writing Task 1 is that their information is not organized very clearly. Remember, you're supposed to, in every Task 1 prompt that you're going to see, you're going to be asked to report the most important information from the visuals you're looking at. Okay, so most times you have two different things you're looking at, like maybe you have a pie chart, maybe you have a table with some information, and you're supposed to report on the things that stand out the most to you from those visuals. So you have to do some thinking about what information seems to be the most important from each of these things you're looking at, and you're supposed to report on those things. That reporting often happens in your second paragraph in your response, right? You have a short sort of introductory paragraph at the beginning, maybe one or two sentences. And then in that second paragraph, I advise my students, that's the place to report the basic information, the key things that your visuals are presenting to you. So before you ever get into all the details, sometimes students start reporting about, different percentages and numbers and very precise details early in their responses. I think it's best to avoid that. You should report about the main themes that you see in your visuals first before you ever get into the details later on in your Task 1 response. Another mistake people make on IELTS Writing Task 1 is that they copy language from the prompt itself. Okay, this is something you should avoid doing on all IELTS writing tasks, Task 1 and Task 2. You need to paraphrase. You need to make sure that the language you see in the prompt and, importantly, as much as possible on the visuals themselves, right? On the graphs and the charts you're looking at. If you can paraphrase that language and put those words into your own words, that really demonstrates how strong your English skills are. So, to the best you possibly can, avoid repeating yourself and avoid repeating the language that you see in the prompts and on the visuals. The variation in language, the ability to paraphrase the words and phrases you see in the prompt and on the visuals is really going to help your score. So, try your best to practice that. Really avoid repeating language that you see in the prompt and the visuals. And another mistake that people make is something I just touched on briefly a moment ago, which is repeating yourself throughout your essay. So you're not actually supposed to repeat language from the prompt and the visuals, but also try to make sure that you're not saying the same words over and over throughout your response. This is really tough to do because you're supposed to write about specific things, right? Maybe you're writing about, a city that has a traffic problem, right? And you're looking at visuals, charts and graphs about the traffic problem in the particular city you're looking at, right? Well, how many words do you know for traffic and cars, traffic jam, okay? It is difficult sometimes not to say the same words over and over and over throughout your response. But that kind of redundancy is something that can pull your score down. So what you need to do as you're practicing IELTS Writing Task 1, look over your responses and go ahead and circle words, underline words that you use repeatedly throughout your responses. Try to find synonyms or other ways of saying the same thing as you practice, and that's going to help you build your skills at paraphrasing, at avoiding redundancy, and just simply knowing the kinds of vocabulary that will give you flexibility with your language so you can say things in different ways. It's something that the IELTS graders really reward when they see that somebody can avoid redundancy, avoid repeating themselves throughout their essay by using different words, phrases, different vocabulary throughout your response. So avoid the mistake of repeating yourself throughout your essay and repeating vocabulary words as you go. All right, another mistake that people make is that they don't have a kind of template or an organizational plan in mind when they're writing their Task 1 responses. Task 1, as we've talked about already, is a report, and almost every Task 1 response can be organized in almost the same exact way. A short introductory paragraph, what we call an overview paragraph, where you provide the basic information, the most important information that you see in your visuals, and then 1 or 2 detail paragraphs where you pull out details that help explain the key points that you pulled out in paragraph 2, in the overview paragraph. Okay, this is a kind of organizational structure that I recommend to students. There are different ways of approaching Task 1 as well. The point here is that you need to have a plan. You need to know exactly how you want to organize your Task 1 responses ahead of time and practice that over and over and over before test day so that you don't have to think about it on the day of your exam, that you just have a plan in place that you know is going to be successful for you. So if you need ideas about how to organize your essays and you want to learn more about that, we have a great resource for you down below in the description. It's a complete guide to IELTS Writing Task 1, where you can learn all about this difficult task and how you should approach it, how you should organize your responses, and lots of other information that's going to help you do really well on your Task 1 responses. And if you like this video, check out these other videos over here. You can learn more about the IELTS exam and what you need to know to get the best score you possibly can.